Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I did put out some little Christmas things. I need to get some batteries for these little lights. This one's a Santa and this one is a snowman. This is a video I've wanted to do for a while because many of you guys asked if I was going to read this autobiography. Lisa Marie and her daughter Riley put this book together. Riley finished it for her mother Lisa when she passed away. I listened to the audiobook version on Spotify and let me just say I really enjoyed it. This is actually my first book review on this channel. I don't typically read a whole lot of books unless it's a celebrity I'm really interested in. I usually just watch documentaries, to be honest. Just gonna say there will be a lot of spoilers, so if you haven't read it and you don't want to be spoiled, definitely don't watch this video. And also trigger warning for 3 different things: SA, lots of mentions of death, and unaliving as well. If that is triggering to you, I do not recommend watching this video. This is going to be more of a serious video because we are going to be talking about some very serious topics. Also, before I start this video, I just want to say, as you can see if you're not familiar with my channel, I am mainly a Michael fan. I do know that chapter 5 does talk about Michael, but I wanted to read the book in its entirety because I really don't know that much about the Presleys. I really wanted to get to know Lisa a little better, as well as a little more about Priscilla and Elvis, because I just don't know a lot about them. Really, the most I know is my aunt Margot really loves Elvis. She's a huge fan. I've watched the Elvis biopic, but you have to kind of be careful with, you know, dramatizations of people's lives because sometimes it isn't always showing the truth. It can show, you know, made up things for dramatic effect because it's a dramatization. And I've also watched Priscilla. This book definitely gave me a little more insight on Elvis and Priscilla, and of course definitely Lisa. Also, another thing I want to mention is that if you know my channel, you know I have made some comments about Lisa. I just want to say, after reading this book, I definitely retract a lot of what I've said about Lisa. I feel like I did something that we have to be careful about, and that is looking at like a singular interview of them, like for example her interview where she was with Michael and Diane Sawyer, and you like look at stuff like that and you judge them based off of that alone. I mean, you can have an opinion, but I feel like sometimes what I said was hateful. I would say it as a joke, but it's really not a joke. Like, I would joke about things, and I think I went a little too far with something because her life, especially her childhood, was very traumatic and very sad. I really feel for her, and I'm very glad that I read this book and educated myself more on who Lisa Marie is as a person. So I did want to say that as a disclaimer, but let's go ahead and start. So yes, I listened to the audiobook. Some parts are voiced by Lisa Marie before she passed away. Some parts are voiced by her daughter Riley, and then when Lisa passed away, Julia Roberts actually voiced some of Lisa Marie's thoughts. And I highly recommend the audiobook. I really enjoyed listening to it. So it opens with The Bluebird by Charles Bukowski, also reading from notes because I have a lot. And it shows the struggle to maintain a tough exterior, and the bluebird represents the inner, gentler, and more vulnerable side trying to come out. I feel like that was very true for Elvis's life as well as Lisa, for sure. The preface talks about Lisa's daughter, Riley, who shares what life was like with her mother. It includes how being Elvis's daughter seemed to be Lisa's whole identity and how she still wanted to write a book about her own experiences. Her daughter agreed to help Lisa write the book, but a month later, Lisa passed away. And like I said, they play audio clips of Lisa's voice talking about her life. Riley hopes that through her mother's own words, as well as her rewording of her mother's original thoughts, that this book will make Lisa a three-dimensional, loved being and basically not seen in the shadow of Elvis all the time. Anytime I see Lisa Marie, it's always Elvis Presley's daughter, Lisa Marie. Like when Michael Jackson and her got married, it was, oh, Michael Jackson married Elvis Presley's daughter, Lisa Marie. You know, I'm sure that was really hard to deal with sometimes. Chapter 1 is called Upstairs at Graceland, and it talks a lot about Lisa's relationship with her father, Elvis, how making Elvis happy and making him laugh was so important to her. Lisa feared his anger intensity. Apparently Elvis could really have a temper sometimes. It also discussed Lisa's relationship with Priscilla, and let me just say that whole thing, lots of traumatic moments. There was a point where Lisa explained that Priscilla literally tried to fall off a horse to cause a... So that's extremely traumatic. Her mother was very adamant that she did not want Lisa and that Lisa ruined a lot of things for her throughout Lisa's childhood. Priscilla was constantly wanting Elvis's attention. I feel like that, along with her disinterest in Lisa, it played into Lisa's trauma a huge deal. And Lisa talks about how even though her mother and her had a tumultuous relationship, she absolutely loved her father, Elvis. Chapter 2 is called He's Gone, and it is about the death of Lisa's father, Elvis. She always felt that she would see him die and was worried about it. And it talks about her seeing the death death of her father and the trauma that came with it. It talks about how his other relationships he had with women, aside from Priscilla, was like during Lisa's childhood. She used her childhood experiences to be a good mother for her children. She knew exactly what she was going to do when she had children to ensure that they did not suffer any kind of trauma that she had. She wanted her children to be comfortable with her partner, because in the next chapter she actually is going to talk about some SA with one of Priscilla's boyfriends. Her children came first in Lisa's eyes, and I think that is how every child should be treated. They are number one in your life, and if you can't do that, you should not be having children, which is why I'm not having children, because I'm too selfish for that. I'm just being honest. I don't plan on ever having children. When her father passed away, she did not want to be with her mother at all. I don't blame her for that. Priscilla definitely had some things she needed to work through before she had children, or she just shouldn't have children at all, you know? And obviously it's her decision, but that was just a lot of tragedy going on. From the book, it definitely seems to me that Priscilla didn't see Lisa as someone to care for, but as a complete burden. Lisa's daughter Riley also opens up about how Lisa eventually was able to listen to Elvis much later in her life. I thought this was a really sweet part of the book and sad part of the book. And Riley said that towards the end of Lisa's life, she was finally able to use words like trauma when talking about her childhood. Chapter 3 is called The Wall. Again, trigger warning, because this is going to talk about SA, and it does involve when Lisa was a minor. The inappropriate relationship between Lisa and Priscilla's boyfriend, Edwards. He made a terrible excuse for why he did this to her, and it was just disgusting and gross to know that Priscilla did nothing about it. You know, I feel like anyone who's aware that a child is being put through something like that and doesn't do anything should definitely face some kind of legal action for not saying anything. It also talks about how someone that she was with for 2 years ended up just being with her so he could release pictures of her that he had taken without her knowledge to the media, and saying that he had been with her. He put that out there because Elvis Presley was her dad. So that's disgusting. I don't know if it was in this chapter. I did leave this out, but at some point she was involved with Scientology. But anyway, so after he released these pictures, she did end up going to a celebrity center for help, and she actually ended up caring for those who were addicts. Chapter 4 is called There's a Bluebird in My Heart, and it talks about her relationship with Danny and how she would bring other men around him to make him jealous and want to chase her. She wanted this man so bad. She worked very hard to get pregnant, and she worked so hard to get pregnant with this man that she was tracking her ovulation like clockwork. I mean, she was set on having children with this man, and she did. She had Riley and she had Ben. Chapter 5 is called Mimi. Now this is one I was seeing all over Twitter, and this is the biggest reason that people wanted me to read this book was because of this chapter, because it's talking about Michael. This was a nickname that was given to Michael, Mimi. It talks about Lisa's divorce with Danny. She also says in this chapter that Michael was virgin. Now this is Lisa's version, and I want to believe that she's telling the truth, but there are so many sides to a story, but that's what she said in this book, right? She said that, which, you know, I could care less if Michael was a virgin or not. Live your life. You know, the man is gone. Let's let him rest in peace. She tried to help him when she thought he was dealing with addiction, but Michael ended up cutting her out of his life when she tried to intervene. And he actually later called her and told her that she was right, and he should have let her try to help him through his addiction. And if that really happened, that is so sad. And I just want to say, I really believe that Lisa and Michael's relationship was all for publicity. Not to be weird, but you know, her dad was Elvis Presley and he was very famous. So I could see how she would flock to Michael because he's a huge deal. I'm not trying to be weird. I know that's her dad and Michael is her partner. I'm not trying to be weird. I'm just saying they understood each other with a lot of things because of the fame. And it wasn't really her own fame. It was just, you know, her dad was a huge deal. So she kind of understood what he was going through. So it makes sense to me now. Somehow I forgot to mention this, but she also brought up the allegations that were against Michael, and she said that she never saw Michael do anything inappropriate with children ever. So that was pretty important. I just wanted to put that in there because she's a real one for that. Thank you for saying that, Lisa. Chapter 6 is called 10 Years. This is a pretty sad chapter. Lisa talks about her struggles with remarrying multiple times in her life and how she just wanted to have a child that she could give a great childhood, even if she was doing it by herself, you know, if her and her husbands did not stay together. It also talked about Lisa making music, which I need to look into Lisa's music because I've actually never listened to it as far as I know. Riley talks about acknowledging the struggles between Lisa and Priscilla as Lisa got older. She started really to unpack that to Riley. It talks about Lisa's engagement to Michael in Hawaii and that they married in Kyoto, Japan. The last decade of Lisa's life was heartbreaking, according to Riley. She, was dealing with ADDICTION. The staff around her that claimed to be her friends overcharged her cards and broke Lisa's trust, so she sent them all away. She dealt with great trauma from all the betrayal of people who continued to betray her trust, and it is really sad. That is something that a lot of celebrities go through. Chapter 7 is called The Bus from Nashville to LA. Lisa realized that moving to England did not benefit her like she thought it would because she had made the decision to move to England with her 2 babies. She had no friends. She was dealing with her own problems mentally. She moved to Nashville to become more social and make a record. She rented a house in LA while the house search continued, and eventually she did return to rehab. Her son Ben was struggling as well. He was doing DRUGS, and he did have an alcohol problem. The family would hide from Riley. Riley was not using, so I feel like that's a big reason why they hid their addictions from her. Lisa would make a trip just to sleep in Elvis's bed to feel comfort and protection, which is just heartbreaking. Riley planned on getting married to her now husband, Ben, and Lisa moved to Calabasas due to her isolating life filled with. It hurt Lisa's son, Ben, to see her suffer, and his got worse with time. Chapter 8 is called Ben, and this does discuss of Lisa's young son. Trigger warning, because it does talk about unaliving. He unalived himself, and it talks about how Riley knew that 2 weeks before his death, he really started to understand how mentally unwell he was. And Riley says that he had not recognized the depth of his depression until it was too late. Lisa would run grief groups with other parents who had lost children after this, and she'd even planned on making a podcast around it at some point, which I never knew. Lisa wanted to make it for the sake of her other children. When you're going through something like that, it's extremely hard. Even if you love your other children, it is just so hard to do. Genuinely in awe of how, she just kept going. She went to Hawaii to try to heal. She knew that that was the right thing to do after her son had passed, and she claimed that she even spoke to Ben after he had passed away. She tried to look at all the good things in her life instead of the struggle she was dealing with and thinking that everything was terrible, which when you're in that kind of mindset and dealing with all that, that's extremely hard to do, so more power to her for doing that. Unfortunately, even when trying to do that, Lisa's health began deteriorating, and now we are in the last chapter, which is chapter 9, The Meditation Garden. Lisa suffered severe stomach problems. She reached out for help one day to Riley's father, and Riley's father texted her and told her that she had been resuscitated. She'd gained consciousness, but not long after that, Lisa did end up ultimately passing away. Riley even said that she believed that Lisa would probably not make it, and even if Lisa did make it, Riley really felt like she just did not want to make it because of all she had been through, and that's so sad. The end of the book is extremely emotional. Riley goes on to thank Lisa for everything she did for her and her siblings, and that her and her siblings are a product of Lisa's incredible heart, and that was just so emotional. Lisa was laid to rest in the meditation garden next to Ben and across from her father Elvis. The audio of Lisa at the end was also very emotional. She talked about how she was strong, but how it really didn't matter. Lisa really hoped that the autobiography would help someone and that would be more meaningful than her being strong. I feel that so much because there's been many times in my life, I have not gone through anything anywhere near as traumatic as Lisa Marie Presley has, but I totally get what she means when she says, what is the point of constantly being strong if I'm just miserable, basically. And I feel like a lot of us are probably, with everything going on in the world right now, kind of in that space to an extent, so that just really meant something to me, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this autobiography. As someone that doesn't know a lot about the Presleys, I really enjoyed this book, and I really tried to look at it with an open mind. I love reading about other people's lives. I love watching documentaries about other people's lives. This was a very hard read. It's very sad. There are some funny and good moments, though. I truly hope the best for Lisa's daughter, especially. Lisa gave her a much better childhood than she had, it seems, and Riley acknowledges that, and I think that's so beautiful, but I hate that Lisa had to go through so many things that she just should not have been through. No child should go through those things, and it just breaks my heart. And y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Definitely, like, if you feel differently, let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I will be back with hopefully a more uplifting video. But again, I just really wanted to put this out. So thank you guys for watching. Bye guys.